I found this heavy object, about 10 inches in diameter, inside a wooden box labeled Valvoline Oil Company. It has a rotating top, a dial that locks into place, and a pendulum that moves when the center plate is pressed. Any idea what this is used for? What you found is an instrument used for measuring the viscosity of semi-solid materials. It's designed to operate horizontally with a test substance placed into the central opening. As the material moves through the orifice, it presses against an internal plate. This force causes the pendulum to deflect, and the needle on the dial records the amount of resistance. The greater the resistance, the higher the viscosity reading. Instruments like this were commonly used by companies like Valvoline to evaluate the flow properties of greases, thick oils, and other lubricants, helping ensure consistency and performance during production and quality control. I found this metal sphere floating near the coast of Chichagof Island in southeast Alaska. It's about 16 inches in diameter, hollow but heavily weighted at the bottom, and has 6 weld points underneath. There are no fittings or markings on it, just a weld seam around the center. Does anyone know what this might be? What you found is a stainless steel float used in the venting system of a large ship's fuel or ballast tank. These floats are part of a safety mechanism designed to prevent seawater from entering the tank through the vent pipe. If the tank vent becomes submerged due to rough seas, listing, or flooding, the float rises with the water and seals the opening to block incoming water. The weight at the bottom keeps the float upright, and the sealed construction allows it to respond quickly when needed. In one scene from The Office, there's a beige plastic device mounted to the wall with a dark brown bracket. It has a cord running down from it and looks like part of it detaches, maybe a battery or some kind of tool. It's located in the office kitchen. I grew up during the time this would have been used, but I still have no idea what it is. Can anyone identify it? What you're seeing is an early 1980s Black & Decker spotlighter, a wall-mounted rechargeable flashlight. The beige plastic body sat in a dark brown charging cradle, typically mounted in kitchens, garages, or utility rooms. When needed, the flashlight could be lifted from the cradle and used as a portable light source. Once returned, it would automatically begin recharging. Devices like this were popular in the late 1970s and 1980s as convenient emergency lights, especially during power outages. Dear viewers, if you enjoy our videos, please subscribe to the channel and give this one a thumbs up. It influences the YouTube algorithm and the video gets promoted more effectively. Thank you. This small object was found in a ring box at an estate sale. It has a set of tiny brass components on top and a green coil of wire underneath. Someone posted it in a Facebook group asking what it is, but no one seems to know for sure. Does anyone recognize it? What you found appears to be a component from an early crystal radio receiver, also known as a crystal set. These simple radios were popular in the early 20th century and required no external power. They worked solely on the energy of the received radio signal. The green coil on the underside is part of the tuning circuit, and the brass components on top may have supported the crystal detector or antenna connections. Crystal sets were commonly homemade or sold as kits, and typically used a coil, a crystal detector, and a sensitive earphone receive amplitude-modulated signals. Although they could only pick up nearby stations and produced faint sound, these radios played an important role in the early days of wireless communication and remain a remarkable example of minimalist engineering. I found this unusual wooden object at a thrift store. It's made of thick hardwood, has solid metal chains attached, and is reinforced with brass plates. It's hollow inside and has a hinged lid on top. Any ideas what this is? What you found is a traditional wooden fish live well, also known as a stream fish keeper. It was used to store live fish after they were caught keeping them fresh in flowing water until they could be prepared or sold. The hardwood body is reinforced with brass plates, and the iron chains were used to secure the container to a fixed point such as a dock, post, or shoreline, so it wouldn't drift away in the current. The top lid provided easy access for placing or retrieving fish. Once lowered into a stream or river, water could flow through the interior, keeping the fish alive. Before refrigeration, these types of live wells were a practical solution for fishermen, and today they're valued as collectible items from the history of fishing. I found this wooden object that looks like it was carved from a single piece of wood. When folded, it looks like a block with slots, but it opens into an intricate layered structure. There are no hinges or fasteners, just wood. Does anyone know what it's used for? What you found is a traditional Uzbek wooden book stand known as a lab. It's a foldable bookrest, intricately carved from a single block of wood without any nails, hinges, or glue. The interlocking slots allow it to unfold into multiple tiers, forming a stable platform for holding large books. Originally designed for reading the Quran in a seated or prayer position, the Lao allowed heavy manuscripts to be held open and elevated for extended periods. These stands are a celebrated part of Uzbek woodworking tradition and are valued for being both functional and artistic. Larger, multi-tiered versions can be especially complex to open and are admired for the craftsmanship they require. I saw this unusual leather T-shaped stool in a private members club in London. It has a handle on top and looks like it's designed for resting your leg on. It was sitting upright in the middle of a formal lounge area. What you saw is an antique gentleman's gout stool, a type of padded footrest designed to elevate and support the leg, typically used by those suffering from gout. This particular style features a T-shape and a built-in handle known as a butler's grasp, allowing it to be moved easily across the room. Gout stools were especially popular in 18th and 19th century Britain, when gout was considered a disease of kings, frequently associated with wealth, overindulgence, and refined living. These stools provided relief by elevating the swollen joint, most commonly the foot, and were commonly upholstered in fine leather or fabric to match luxurious interiors. I found this small brass sculpture shaped like a booted leg, with a pointed toe at an antique shop. It's about 2 to 2.5 inches long and heavier than it looks. There are no markings, but the style seems pre-Victorian. Any idea what it was used for? What you found is likely a tobacco pipe tamper, a tool used by pipe smokers to gently pack tobacco into the bowl. This helps ensure an even burn and prevents the tobacco from going out too quickly. Pipe tampers became popular in the 18th and 19th centuries and were commonly made from materials like brass, silver, or wood. They were frequently crafted in decorative shapes such as boots, legs, or animals to reflect the personal style of the smoker. The booted leg design you found fits well within the pre-Victorian or Victorian aesthetic, when finely crafted smoking accessories were especially fashionable. I found this old hammer with a wooden handle and a flat striking surface. The other end of the head is curved and rounded, which I haven't seen before. Does anyone know what this type of hammer is used for? What you found is an auto body hammer, specifically used for shaping and repairing car body panels. The flat end is used for general striking, while the rounded or peen end is designed to smooth out dents or mold metal into shape without damaging the surface. This type of hammer is commonly used in combination with a dolly, holding the hammer in one hand and the dolly in the other to precisely control the shape of the metal. It's an essential tool in auto body repair, especially when working with thin sheet metal. I found 10 of these metal objects at my granddad's house. He's 88 years old. Each one weighs about 14 pounds and measures roughly 17 inches tall, 12 inches wide, and 5 inches deep. Any idea what they're used for? What you found is a reel rack used for feeding film into a splicer, made by Films and Equipments Limited. Before digital editing, films were cut and joined manually, and this rack helped manage multiple reels during the process. Each upright held a reel of film, allowing editors to pull segments through the splicer for precise cutting and joining. These racks were standard in editing rooms throughout much of the 20th century, and are now considered collectible pieces of film history. I came across this wooden piece at a Goodwill store. It stands about 2 feet tall and is roughly 18 inches wide. The top has a slot with a sliding cover, and there are 3 keyhole latches, though no keys were included. It feels solid and seems to be missing something in the center. What you found is a vintage wooden ballot box, likely used for collecting votes or suggestions in a formal setting such as a club, lodge, or church. The narrow slot on top was intended for inserting paper ballots while the sliding wooden cover allowed the opening to be concealed or locked when not in use. The keyhole latches were designed to secure the contents until the box was officially opened for counting. These boxes were widely used in the 19th and early 20th centuries and reflect the practical craftsmanship of the time when voting was typically conducted by hand. I found this small glass vial inside a leather pouch while exploring a shipwreck. It's about an inch long, filled with a clear yellowish liquid, and has the text Jasmine 76 faintly visible on the side. Does anyone know what this is? What you found is a vintage Soviet-era perfume vial labeled Jasmine 76, which translates to Jasmine 76. It was produced in the USSR as part of a line of compact, affordable fragrances, typically packaged in small glass ampules like this one. The number most likely refers to the year of formulation or release, 1976. These vials were commonly carried in pouches or worn as pendants during the 1970s and 1980s. The perfume inside was a concentrated oil-based fragrance meant to be dabbed onto the skin rather than sprayed. I found this glass object at Goodwill among the regular glassware. It looks similar to a champagne flute, but the top has only a small opening, and there's a gold band spiraling around the outside. Does anyone know what it's actually used for? What you saw is a decorative glass oil lamp, specifically a stem drop oil lamp. Although it resembles a champagne flute, the small top opening and the hollow interior are designed to hold lamp oil, not liquid for drinking. The gold spiral around the body is purely ornamental, and the lamp would originally have been fitted with a small metal or ceramic wick holder at the top. Once filled with oil and fitted with a wick, it could be lit and used as a gentle ambient light source, typically more decorative than functional. I found this plastic device in the back of a closet. It gives a short vibration when I turn the knob on, then continues to vibrate briefly every 15 seconds. The battery cover is missing, and I'm not sure what it's used for. Any ideas? What you found is a handheld metal detecting tool known as a pinpointer, specifically a model like the Bounty Hunter pinpointer. These devices are used in conjunction with standard metal detectors to help pinpoint the exact location of a metal object after its general area has been identified. When powered on, the pinpointer vibrates or emits audio signals as it nears a metal target, allowing for precise detection in soil, sand, or other materials. The short pulse every 15 seconds is likely a confirmation that the unit is still active and scanning. The missing battery cover on the bottom would normally secure a 9-volt battery. Pinpointers are favored by hobbyist treasure hunters and are particularly helpful for recovering small items like coins, jewelry, or relics after digging. In the last video, I asked you to identify this unusual pull-out shelf built into a kitchen cabinet. This item is used for mounting kitchen tools like a meat grinder. Thanks to everyone who shared their guesses, and a special shout out to CG for being the first to identify it correctly. Now I want to invite you to identify another unusual object. This notched wooden piece looks like a half tube. It's about 13 inches wide and feels heavy for its size. What do you think it was used for? Leave your guesses in the comments, and I'll reveal the answer in the next video. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you found it interesting. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and lets more people discover the channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.